This video is going to show you a solo GM getting platinum rank on double loot week. The weekly featured GM is Scarlet Keep, of course. However, if you still have the selector node up, the selector node, and you still have some GMs to do, when you complete those, you'll get double loot on those as well. But I'm going to assume most of you have gilded your Conqueror anyways, and all you have is Scarlet Keep. So this is showing you a solo farm on it in some fashion, with Strand on a Strand Hunter, with the Whirling Maelstrom build. The Tangle build. Let's just call it that. So I've sped up the footage because you can skip the first barrier. I've said this in the first video that you can skip the first barrier and you will definitely still get platinum rank. It's not RNG, it definitely will happen. So what you want to do for the double towers to do it pretty fast is get a shackle down first and then kill one of the acolytes surrounding the barrier to get a tangle. Shoot that tangle as quickly as you can, preferably with a machine gun. Then just go to town with Wish Ender on the barrier and debuff with the rapid fire ranger semi-auto striker. That will then unravel the target and you'll get another tangle that with the aspect, of course. So we'll throw it on the other side. Why not? I don't know where it's gone. It just flew up in the air there, but I've got another one procced over there, and we're going to kill the barrier on the left because we're already sort of here. So I may as well do it, and it's building my super energy up as well. And then we can just focus on any side. There's no strategy now. It really doesn't matter which side you go with first. It's whatever side that's giving you more of a problem, you would go with first. Sorry. The side that's giving you more problem, you go with last, because then you'll have a super for it, right? So I find on left-hand side, this is right, I find on left-hand side it's a little bit more awkward. So I generally super that side. Or it just depends on how I feel. I don't know if I did on this run. But to be honest with you, even if you don't have a super, because of how good the Tangle build is on a Hunter, it can literally clear out a wizard for you and all acolytes surrounding the wizard and generate you another Tangle to then melt down the wizard. Look at this. I didn't even use super. Didn't even really use heavy. Just a couple of fusion rifle shots. That was it. And that side is clear. This is really quick, this. We'll pick up the orb and then we'll drop the orb, because the orb is there just to spawn in that extra barrier that you get. You don't need to juggle the orb, alright? Don't worry about trying to juggle the orb. Focus on just getting your shield breaks and stuff. I'm going to use a super here because I may as well. I've got a debuff. I'll do a shackle to reset the timing on the barrier. A shackle nowadays is only 3 seconds with the fragment, the continuity fragment. But what you got to realize with the continuity fragment is it does a couple of things. It doesn't just do shackle. It extends. It gives you longer time on severing targets. Now this whole build is really revolving around severing targets with the thread of isolation fragment. When you get rapid precision hits on a target, you sever them. They basically glow green, right? But they have to unravel, so whatever you kill them with, whether it be once you've severed them, if you kill them with anything, any damage at all, they'll unravel into a tangle, therefore repeating the chain process of getting tangles all the time without having to use the exotic auto rifle Quicksilver Storm. Because Quicksilver Storm, right, is beautiful in terms of how many tangles you can get. But we must recognise that that weapon, it is really strong, obviously, like super strong. But it isn't Wish Ender, and I'm wanting to do this as quick as I can on a Hunter Strand. And this is quicker than a Quicksilver Storm for me, because, well, not that it's quicker, it's just that it's more comfortable to play from range with, right? So this means that you can still get plenty of tangles if you use Thread of Isolation with any weapon that you want to use. That weapon essentially is turning into Strand in a sense. Wish Ender hasn't got Osmosis. It's not turning into a Strand in that per se, but for every kill that you sever an enemy, you get a Strand for. Providing that you haven't got the cooldown on, because there is a Tangle cooldown, and you'll see that on the left hand side. But it's really good because it's versatile in the sense I don't have to use Quicksilver Storm. I've used it quite a lot, if I'm being honest, since it's come out. So whatever is your fancy. If you haven't used Quicksilver Storm that much, get it on with the build. Use it. It's exceptionally strong. But for a GM like this, it's all long range stuff. So Quicksilver Storm power goes down a little bit, just a little bit, because it means you've got to play up close a little bit better. Which the up close CQC class for Strand is Titan Banner of War, and I'm not on a Titan. But probably that is the best farm in the game. Fire team or solo to do the Banner of War with a shotgun and all the the Banner of War build going about. Which there'll be somebody that'll happen. Someone will speedrun this in probably less than 15 minutes, maybe even less than 10, maybe not less than 10, but definitely less than 15 on a Strand Titan. But what you need to realise, that isn't a farm for the regular player, because then the player that done those records, the players that do those records where they do a GM in like 12 minutes and stuff, they've had to farm all day for that time. That's not a farm. They're farming time, not loot. You, my friend, are farming loot. Therefore, you don't really want to play that build. Unless you are really like a top player, fair enough, then go ahead, right? But for most of you, you want to use some other build like this that does a good amount of damage from range. Well, it's actually exceptional. The Strand Tangles are so good. Especially the fact that we can debuff targets with our weapons this season. Which, may I add, generally you can't. If you want to debuff a target to such strength, you're using Divinity, Tractor Cannon and stuff, which you're not fitting that in most builds. Tractor Cannon, yeah, you are on a Strand Titan, but like on a certain builds, you're not putting a Tractor Cannon on there. Why? And you can use an exotic primary that does the damage. But we're getting best of both worlds this season, because you got Rapid Fire Ranger, Semi-Auto Striker, so you're getting a buff and a debuff going on at the same time, plus you're severing targets. So barriers, you can imagine, are getting melted. They're getting melted. Now imagine 3-strand hunters doing this. 3-strand hunters would be insane. 3-strand anything, to be honest. It's kind of funny how the Strand meta's played out, because in actual fact, I think the Strand Warlock is the weakest now. I know it's got Weave Walk, but I still think it's the weakest. Not to say that that means it's weak, like actually weak in the meta, but it's not stronger than a Strand Hunter, and it's not definitely not stronger than a Strand Titan. So the Warlock Strand's the weakest, but there's some pros and cons with that class as well. That there's got some pros to it. I think the main thing is that the super's not really as good as the other two. Like, being able to pop a super and kill both either an unstoppable or a barrier champion in one super without getting a stun from a weapon is probably making it the strongest Roman super in the game. The Titan one is. Strand Hunter's number 2. But Strand Titan it is definitely number 1 in the game. If you're saying, right, what's the best super for barriers and unstoppables, well then it's Strand Titan all day long. The Strand Warlock, like I say, it's not too bad, but the one and done style super, it's not that good. It will one shot. Well, it is good. It's just not broken. Let's say that. So this little section I can see can be giving people problems. Make sure that you focus the barrier. But if you're starting to get pelted quite a bit by nades, acolytes, then back up a little bit, because Wishen is still going to slow that champ, and it's going to allow you to kill that champion from a range, meaning that you don't have to deal with solar nades, because these acolytes have a range drop off. They won't fight you from a certain meterage away, but if you're contending with them, they will. Like if you go, quite closer up this ramp, they do start throwing the nades. So anytime an acolyte creeps out and you get 1 or 2 pot shots and the deaths, then that's just making this a little bit easier. But to be honest with you, I'm stalling time, because I'm going to shackle the Shrieker, right? Which actually I only found out this season that you could even shackle the Shrieker, which blew my mind when I found that out. Found it out during Lightblade. I was like, I didn't even know that. This was, bear in mind, this was a bit ago now, but was this season. But yeah, use it. It's going to be a big help to you. We've got another Strand Tangle here. So we're going to use it on these snipers. We're max on heavy ammo. We're max on special ammo. That's the beauty of this build is I found that... Because obviously I done a Stasis Sharebinder build yesterday. Run. Yeah. And on that run, I was using far more ammo than what I am on this run. Like my weapons are getting less of a look in. Because... The Tangle's doing so much for me. I would say it's getting at least 20% of my kills. Yeah, which is huge. It's doing lots of assistant damage to champions as well. To the point where, like, I'm barely getting chance to actually fire my machine gun. By the time I whip my machine gun out and broke a shield, the champ's half HP, like less. At times, with debuffs. So, I don't find myself any constraints with ammo. You wouldn't even need Scavenger on, but I always recommend that you do put them on. But I haven't done this run. I was like, I didn't even really need much ammo for it. Only at the boss fight where your ammo is a little bit more important. But getting to the boss, it's fine. It's just wish ender, tangle, wish ender, tangle. Stun on a champ, maybe break out the fusion on a wizard. Bit of machine gun here and there when you want to confirm a kill on a champ, which is few and far between. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to speed up the cap point. Right, let's push it a little bit. Let's not be lazy. We'll put a Strand Tangle down. Right, to finish the wizard off, we pop super. We can grapple our way over there, but that will consume a bit of super energy, bear in mind. But you don't even need to do that. Because we're going to super 2 wizards. Because the super lasts so long, I may as well do that. So that was a super well spent, because that's just cleared out 2 of the biggest pains in this room, which is the solar wizards. Although it's not on this class. The wizards are not a pain at all, because I can shackle them, I can sever them, I can slow them, I can melt them down with the tangle, I can mow them down with a machine gun. I've got so many options. And yeah, shackled isn't as good as it used to be, and people are now using the grapple ability, which has its use. It has a lot of use, doesn't it? Let's be honest. There's some crazy things that you can do with that now. But on a build like this, it didn't really matter about me running the shackle. Sorry, not the shackle, the grapple. Because what I'm wanting is more tangles, right? From a distance, that's the key. Whereas if I start grappling enemies, obviously you grapple, and then you go in and lunge with a melee and all that stuff. This build's not revolving around that. It's about getting tangles from a range, because when you do shackle a acolyte with a champ, when you kill that acolyte, and you burst that tangle with a wish ender or a machine gun or whatever, you're doing crazy damage from range. It's so easy. And that's what this video is about. It's not about doing a difficult run, because this is by far not difficult at all. Compared to the Sharebinder run, I mean, even the Sharebinder run wasn't bad. But like, if we compare the 2 runs, the Sharebinder run's far more difficult than this one. It's probably double the difficulty, because it's just so easy. But you've got to know how the Strand Hunter works, I guess, to some degree, which I don't know the ins and outs of the tangle and every single thing about this Whirling Maelstrom aspect thing. I don't know everything about it. No, I don't, because I don't play much Strand Hunter too much. Only when I fancy it, because believe it or not, Hunter's probably my least played class now. I don't know why that is of late, but I want to start playing a little bit more Hunter, because I'm starting to sacrifice him a little bit. This was bad gameplay, a little bit of this barrier here, because I knew there was some acolytes up over the other side of the map, so rather than confronting them, I wanted to sort of isolate the barrier away, because I'm trying to hurry up and kill this barrier, rather than dealing with things as I usually do, where you kill all the acolytes first, then you kill barrier, etc. We're coming to our final super. I haven't capped the plate over the other side, which I'm going to go and do. The reason why I didn't do that is because I had a tangle to pick up. Tangles run out eventually when they're not picked up off the floor. They will eventually run out. So remember, I killed that barrier and I needed to pick up the tangle, and I wanted to use that tangle on the 3rd solo wizard because I didn't have super for him. So that's why I didn't cap this plate. So it wasn't that I forgot. It was just that I was timed with the tangle. Plus, I would have spawned in 2 snipers. Then have to go and pick up a tangle. So the time would have been off for that. I didn't want to do it like that. So that's why I just quickly go and cap it there now. And then we're going to cap middle last. Which the other time, the last run I done, I capped middle first. But it makes sense doing it like this because I've used the super on 2 solo wizards. I'm going to use the final super in this room on the final barrier. So we'll get a shackle up first. We'll destroy that tangle. We'll get a stun and a debuff with Wish Ender. Jump over the Thrall and pop super. And Strand Hunter will absolutely melt. And then you just skip the rest of it. So there's probably some ammo left in that room. I probably did lose some ammo there, but as I said, because of how the build is taken over to the point where it's doing so much work for me that I can be, let's not say lazy, but I can be a bit more careless about ammo pickups. I've got a brick there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. With the ammo economy in the game now, how it works, I never seem to have a problem now in GMs for heavy ammo. Only on linears. Because sometimes when you have a linear fusion on, a ammo finder brick will only give you 1 ammo for the linear. That bug has come back. If you remember a couple of seasons ago that happened, where you were only getting 1 shot per linear. That's happening again in the game. And a standard brick will give you 5, 6, whatever it might be. But an ammo finder is only given 1. It should be 2 or 3 at least. I think it's meant to be 2, but I'm not sure though. But that's the only time I'm having problems in GMs is when I'm running linears. But if we're being honest, machine guns are in now. Like, they're so in now that it's kind of crazy to think how good they are now. They're getting beyond to the point where they're doing 2 job roles at the same time. They're doing, well, 3 job roles. They're doing ads, they're doing champs, and they're doing bosses. So we're getting to that stage now where machine guns are like primed as potentially the best heavy to run in solo GMs and stuff. Linears have their uses. Rockets obviously always have a use. Just getting that burst damage in like we do with rockets is always nice to have. But you look at all some of the best solos, they're all machine guns or shotgun. Banner of War Titan, but yeah, generally machine guns what you want because it does a lot more for you than a linear, and it does more for you than a rocket even. Although I'm not against running rockets neither, because you debuff targets, then you rocket them. Rockets are doing massive damage just because of that debuff from rapid fire ranges. So I'm not saying rockets aren't in the meta. Obviously, they are in the meta. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just saying for solo play in general, machine guns generally the better play to use. So this section is the snipers that you need to be worried about. Like I said yesterday with the snipers, it's important that you kill them. For obvious reasons, they are the most dangerous threat right now. The barrier's backed up the ramp. We're going to use a shackle. This is important that you hit that shackle. If you don't, it could be a problem for you. You might have to pop super and try and skip. Because once you're there, at this piece of cover that I'm on about right now, if you miss your shackle, that streak is going to be on you the whole time. Then the acolytes and the champ will go around that corner of that map, of that ramp, and then start beaming you down. And there's a chance of death there. So you've got to be confident with that. If you're not confident with the shackle like that, then take the shrieker from a range. But there's a little bit of a way of doing that. But I'm sure you've seen me do that before, where you take the shrieker out slowly and abuse the close mechanic of a shrieker. You close them up, you open them. You close them up, you open them. You do one wish and a shot at a time, and eventually you take out the shrieker that way. So we've got a nice tangle going there. It cleared out the entire room. This reminds me of, like, to an extent, Warmind cells, what they used to be like. Although not quite as potent, because Warmind cells were instant and it would just melt the entire room, and even champs. I'm on about the original Warmind cell builds, but this build is like, I didn't realise how strong it was, really. I didn't realise how much damage the tangles do to a boss. The ad clear potential they do, the tracking that it does. It's literally insane. For fragments, you want to have woven mail, because when you pick up an overpower and get woven mail, your next kill with any weapon will give you an tangle. So you're getting tangles from woven mail, you're getting tangles from severing targets, and you're getting it from your abilities as well, providing that you haven't been debuffed with the cooldown for tangles. So you're getting tangles everywhere, right? So you can't argue with it. Arguably, you could get a little bit more tangles with Quicksilver Storm, but remember, it's an auto rifle. Scarlet keeps a long-range GM. It isn't no Fallen Saber or something. It's a long-range GM. So the bow, for most people, will be... so the play will be a bow. Because you can break shields from a distance. And obviously, I've explained the problems about Wish Ender and what have you, and how it's sort of taken over the meta, but I don't really want that to take over the discussion of the video, because I've already said about it. I've said my piece on it, and I'm not going to really say it again, because no point. There's no point to mention it. That is the meta in the game. I can't impact it. You can't impact it. It's up to Bungie what they want to do for the future of the meta. It's up to them, isn't it, really? It's their game, not ours. But I can only just commentate and tell you what the good stuff is for a farm if you want to solo farm this GM, which you can, but it's obviously always better to farm in a team, right? I've had a couple of people challenge me over this when I do my Cali farm or any farm that I've done in the past. A couple of people have challenged me and they've sort of said, well, why are you farming solo? Why would anyone solo farm when you can farm in a team? And the question, they're being cocky by answering that question, because you don't think I don't know the answer. Obviously, it is better to farm in a team. It always is. It's 3 times quicker, providing that you've got 2 other players on the same wavelength as you. Because sometimes you do a GM and you're carrying them, and we've all been there where you're carrying 2. That ends up being a longer run than a solo. I'm not kidding you. But going back to what I'm saying, the reason why we do like solo farms or solo anything is because that's a category within Destiny 2 on YouTube, and has been since 2014-15. I mean, people weren't really doing it in 2014, I'll be honest. It's when Crota came out in D1. That's when the solo category for D2 kicked off. So it's a category of content. If you don't like it when somebody says solo farm, don't watch the video then. But don't twine and complain at content creators for making solo content, because there's some people that are solo players. They can't get on and play with a team because they've got kids, so they have to mute their mic. Right, you can play with a muted mic on LFG, but then some people won't do that though, will they? Or they don't want human interaction, they want to play on their own. Some people are like that. They're very their personality depends, right? I'll farm in LFG, I've done it loads. I've done it loads in the past, but I make content regarding this category of content, which is solo. So I'm going to show you the solo farms of stuff in PvE. There's no point in me having a channel then if you're going to start ripping that stuff away from me. It's up to me what content I make. It's not for you to dictate to me what I make, or for me to just go and bother the bigger content creators then. Go and tell them why are they soloing a raid. Ask them why they're soloing a raid. It's kind of dumb. You can do it with 6. Did you not know? Obviously they do. It's just people are being sarcastic and jealous as well. There's a lot of that in the community. People who get jealous of other people. Not per se me. I don't know why people are jealous of me, because I've barely got anything. If we're being completely honest in the grand scheme of things, I've barely got anything. I've got a good following on YouTube, and I'm happy with the way it's been and what I've achieved. I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm just saying, don't be jealous of me. I've barely got anything. Go and be jealous of the people who are making a living off this game. I'm not making no living off it. Go and talk to the people who are making a living off it and ask them why they're not doing better content. That's what you should be doing, not twining at small content creators because you're bothered about a title word. All right, is that all it is? So that's my point, is go and pest the bigger... But even if you pest the bigger content creators, they're not going to reply to you anyways. You realise this, right? They're going to ignore you. They're going to ignore you flat out, which is what they do. Whereas I'll challenge people. I like to have an active conversation. I try and like to change people's opinion on stuff. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how it goes. But, yeah, like, I don't need to justify why people solo stuff in a game. That's a ridiculous, absurd question. So yeah, it's always better to solo farm in a team. I highly recommend you use the LFG app for those that can't solo this style of content and you're trying for days. Alright, you need to maybe reevaluate, maybe watch a video. After you've watched the video, if you still can't solo, then you might need to get a team and just join on an app. There's gonna be an in-game LFG thing coming anyways, but until then you use the app and it's actually decent. People join quick enough. For GMs especially, you don't need comms, you don't need to, you know, you can play with a muted mic. People understand that you're on well, people understand you're using whatever gun you use and they'll inspect your loadouts, so you can play with other people. But there's people out there that seek to solo these because they like the gameplay, because soloing something is far different to doing it in a team in D2. It's an entirely different mechanic. You see so much more in the game than what you would in a fire team. But if your goal is only loot, then you should be just farming in a fire team. So I'm going to use a super on these two wizards. I got a shackle grenade off first. I'm going to try and set off the tangle. I didn't want to set it off too soon because it is on a timer, but I had to set it off at some point because I want to debuff the boss right away and then get some tangle damage going, which it's doing sizable damage as well. We'll go to our standing section. This is where I stood for yesterday's solo, and I'll stand here for today's solo as well, just because it's just a really nice place to stand. It's consistent. Not that you have to. If you took this fight really slow, it's really easy. You wouldn't even need to stand here. But if you melt down the boss like I just have, you're going to get 2 to 3 waves of adds, making it a bit more difficult, making it that you have to strategize for that. You know, a Devour Warlock, he's going to melt everything, isn't he? But it just depends on how you want to do it. I'm not fussed either way. I like this place, and I've used it for quite some time. And not only that, you can proc a tangle in cover like this, and it just seeks out all the enemies for you. A couple of things to note. This knight can one-shot. These knights can. Well, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But he did one-shot me today earlier on. This particular knight here, he just lunged at me and one-shot me right off the bat. Be careful. And don't fall off map. And if the adds push you, always strafe left into that hole, like so. When you have that, and always strafe, because he immediately de-aggroes the enemies. And hopefully they fall off, and you get points for them if they do. Curse Frawler a problem, or can be, so you've got to keep an eye on those, which they're not here till phase... I think it's phase... I think it's on the Unstoppable Champs phase. We've procced another tangle. Boss is hiding, doing massive damage for us. This is very good. We'll finish off the boss to a third. That's the boss immune. This is now the solo wizard phase. So I was hoping on this run I would have got my super by now, which I didn't. But I'm pretty close. It would have been a bit better if I just got my super for now, because I would have actually went and killed both solo wizards with one super, which you can do, especially on a Strand Hunter. But my goal right now is to actually generate a tangle. This target's severed. You can see the green aura. But I've actually got a tangle over there. I didn't realise. So once I get out of this smoke off the enemy, I'll shoot that tangle and then it'll track the wizard. It'll make the wizard de-aggro a little bit for us as well, giving us a chance to wait for the smoke to go. See, the longer you stay there with 2 wizards alive, the more chance that they smoke you. Whereas if you melt down your first wizard, you will not get smoked by the second, because the second wizard will hug the boss. That's why I'm saying it would have been a bit nicer if I'd had my super just a little bit sooner for this phase. I ended up popping anyways, and then killing the second. Could have done a bit of damage to the boss there, but then I decided no, just leave it, because you got to realise with a Roman super on exit point, you lose all that damage resistance. So yeah, you're good there for the 3 seconds, but then right after, what you're going to do then? I just wrote off the super and then just came here, because the boss is weak anyways. You can see how weak this boss is. Very susceptible to debuffs and precision damage. Boss is near a third. I'm going to leave the boss a little bit and deal with some of these knights, but the boss actually ends up pushing us all the way up here, so that was interesting. So we'll just actually get rid of the boss, because when you do get rid of the boss, when the boss is shielded, the boss can't stomp you, he can't do his green aura, her green aura thing. The boss is literally just nothing at that point. So sometimes you're better off just melt the boss down, get the boss away. Just know that when you do that, you've got more ads to take care of in this zone. And there's a chance of getting knocked off map, because a thrall could come around that pile and want to melee me and then push me off map. And there's actually nothing you can really do when that does happen. This shackle was slightly too soon, because even though when you do get a stun on Unstartable with a weapon, you're still on that timer until you can stun again. So even if you shackle, you can shackle them, yeah, but you won't get this unstun damage. So my stun was slightly too soon on that shackle. That's fine. The Unstartable's getting melted anyways. We'll aggro this Unstop, get a stun here. Notice how well Loaded Question's doing. I haven't talked about it at all. And this Strand LMG. Strand LMG is so good, and I've got it on because it's got target lock. It's not a god roll, but you can't craft this LMG, which is a shame, because it's adaptive frame. It's got some good perks, but you can also make tangles with it because of a seasonal artifact mod this season. And it's just putting out fantastic damage. I really enjoy this Strand LMG on a Strand build. Makes sense, because there's a random chance to get another tangle on top of all my other tangle opportunities that I have. So these are the Curse for All. We're on the final phase now. We have super as well, which is nice. These two acolytes pushed. I'll unravel that tangle. I'm really looking for ammo just in case, but I didn't really need that much. 70 bullets would have been enough, but I'm just sort of checking. I'm also seeing if I can generate a tangle before the boss is unshielded, which I've already generated one. There's one Curse for All up. Once the Curse for All dies to the tangle, shield goes down. So I want to debuff. Like, I'm wasting time here. I need to hurry up and debuff while that tangle's on the boss. And what we're going to do is we're just going to spam LMG until 20%, 25%. And then that boss is debuffed. LMG's melting. Will jump over the ads and the green aura pop super, because your Strand super will help you survive, and you just melt the boss down. There's no more champions to kill. So that's how you would solo farm this in a fashion on a Strand Hunter. There'll be faster opportunities with other classes. I'm not saying there isn't, but this is still a fun build to use. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.